Hello again, viewers. In the previous video series, we pretty much paved the inroad for the 5PL itself. So nevertheless, in this video series, we will dedicate the entire time to basically explore about the 5PL itself. First thing first, business is always a business. Regardless, whatever PL, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're proposing 5PL, you have first to make a business case and hopefully a compelling one so that all those stakeholders would become more convinced that this is something that they actually agree could take the project inbound material logistic management to the next level for the oil, gas, and chemical owner-operators. In particular, to actually begin to contribute significantly to the cut of the total ownership cost of those projects of development, redevelopment, turnaround, and expansions. So, first of all, if you are a third-party investor for such a logistics service to provide specifically for one owner-operator of the oil, gas, and chemical. Well, we covered that earlier, that while 4PL expertise and knowledge is supposed to be catered to a particular industry, a 5PL in this notion is actually established to serve the particular needs defined for a particular enterprise of its clients. In other words, if you set up one 5PL business, I could hardly see it 100% moving to another enterprise of a different company and totally suit without any modifications at a large scale and scope. So once again, let's say we're targeting one particular leading owner-operator of oil, gas, and chemical. And of course, we first look at the scale of economies. When a capital project is defined at somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 billion US, with that kind of scale of economy, with the thumb rule of the industry to set about 5-10% contract value of such a capital project as the project logistic budget, we're looking at a very significant base to create the cost saving from, right? 5 or 10% of $1 billion US. So at least we're talking half of a 100 million US dollars, right? So that is either 5 or 10%. To create the cost saving of either a full 100 million US dollars or half of that, I believe with the 5PL service, we could easily create anywhere minimum 5% of that. So then we are looking at the number to be set as the target per capital project as the saving to be created by the 5PL service. So if we, let's say, presume $5 million as initial investment into such a 5PL service platform or operation to set up for one particular capital project as the first showcase or window project for the targeted enterprise of a client, that $5 million to, let's say we're trying to raise funds through the VC, the venture capitalist, and typically in the U.S., $5 million is probably most likely to require like two different VCs working together to raise the first round. As of today, at least the way I know it. But if we go to a country such as China, cash rich, you could easily find one particular deep pocket individual come up with 6 times of that. So it's really depending on where do you get your money from. Or here's another scenario. What about the owner operator? A lot of them have their own VC type of operations. Maybe they could invest into such a venture themselves. But either way, regardless, to have the return on $5 million from such a capital project, typically I would say you can make the 100% completely return on investment, basically to recover all the initial investment of the $5 million within the project life cycle. And in this case, that could be 2 or 3 years or a little bit longer. But then going beyond all this first project, I know most of leading or major owner-operators, unless it's at the extremely depressing market timing when and where all the capital projects become frozen, unless it's in that kind of market timing, there's always constantly anywhere between 3, 5, or even more capital project going, right? So that means beyond the first project, the 5PL initial investment will be basically sitting there and accumulating the profit when all the costs are primarily paid for. Of course, there will be some sustained cost, but the 5PL business model and the knowledge body, nevertheless, the team structure is completely different from 4PL. And we'll get to all that technical side later. But basically, here's the case. If you can place $5 million, and that's a number basically a little bit random, because we will have to look at the particulars, how do you arrive at whatever number. So what is initially objective set up to do what? And with 5 million, how far can you go? And that's, of course, the initial. And what else are you looking at to add in the later phase? But in any case, I believe that's a very easy business case to make. And once again, that's because first, the scale of economy in this upstream sector, and then also because the 1PL within owner-operators, typically the in-house competence is not quite there. So these two things make it very ideal for the application of 5PL to set up within the oil, gas, and chemical industry. And the instant saving is very easily to make it justifiable. And now that is the business case for the 5PL.